Welcome to Panicking Mannequin. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Anaesthesia 1 and 2. They're essentially the same, but they differ with the patient's weight and therefore the circuit that you're going to choose. But don't worry, we're going to look at both of them and we're going to go through both of the fresh gas flow calculations. So let's take a look. The examiner will be checking to see if you safely set up the oxygen tank, correctly test the anaesthetic machine, select and test the correct breathing circuit, and correctly calculate the fresh gas flow rate, including the units. So we're going to check the oxygen gauge. There is oxygen in the tank. We can turn that on. And we're going to pop our in-use sticker on. Attach our scavenger in there and keep that down low on the floor. So we're going to test that the flow meter works and that the bobbin can move freely. We're going to have a look at the vaporizer. We'll verbalise to the assessor that it's empty and that we'll need to fill up with isoflurane before we bring the patient through. And we're going to check that the dial moves freely. I won't do it today because we've got ISO in our tank. We're going to check that the oxygen works for the emergency flush. And we're going to turn the flow meter up to about 4 litres per minute and just briefly cover the outlet. And we're going to verbalise that that bobbin is moving, telling us we don't have leaks in the system. So we're going to select the T-piece because it's the most appropriate for this patient, and we're going to attach it to the machine. So get really comfortable with your circuits. We're going to find the scavenger and we're going to connect that there. And now we need to leak test it. So we're going to turn our flow meter on. We're going to occlude the end. We're going to close the APL valve. And we're going to put a little bit of oxygen in with our emergency flush. And we're going to note and verbalise to the assessor that the bag remains taut and there's no sounds of that oxygen leaking. And then we're going to release that pressure and we're going to make sure we verbalise how we're undoing the APL valve again, so that is now a safe circuit. That can then be hung up on here and we can move on to our fresh gas flow calculation. But before all of that, we first need to know what I like to call the magic numbers. All you need to remember is if the patient is less than 10 kilograms, then the magic number is 15. And if the patient is more than 10 kilograms, the magic number is 10. I like to remember it by thinking about how many patients I could squish into a box. I could maybe get 15 tiny kittens, but probably only 10 bigger puppies. The next step is knowing your circuit factors. The Bain and the T-piece are the same as each other. Their circuit factor is 2.5 to 3. The parallel lac and the mini lac are also the same as each other. Their circuit factor is 1 to 1.5. I always think about Bane from Batman and Mr. T being strong characters with their high circuit factors. Then on the other side, you have the lacs, which are lacking, and make me think of someone scrawny like Mr. Burns. Just as a reminder, the Bane and the parallel lac are suitable for patients over 10 kilos, whereas the Ayres T-piece and the mini lac are suitable for patients under 10 kilos. So in this example, our patient is under 10 kilos, and we're choosing the Ayres T-piece. First, we need to work out the tidal volume. So we take our magic number in mils per kilo, and we times it by our patient's weight to get the tidal volume in mils. Next is minute volume, which is just tidal volume times by the number of breaths to give you mils per minute. Lastly, we get to the fresh gas flow range, which is where we take that minute volume and times it by each of the two circuit factor numbers to get our fresh gas flow rate in mils per minute. So we move the minute volume answer of 1,560 mil per minute down to here, and then we first times it by the circuit factor of 2.5, which gives you 3,900 millilitres per minute as your minimum. Then the upper range, we take that same minute volume of 1,560 mils per minute and times it by a circuit factor of 3, which gives you 4,680 mils per minute. Therefore, your fresh gas flow rate range is 3,900 mils per minute to 4,680 mils per minute. If you were using this in clinic though, you'd likely be using litres on your flow meter. So it's as simple as moving the decimal and it's 3.9 to 4.6 litres per minute on your flow meter. For anaesthesia 2, where the patient is over 10 kilos, we'll be choosing the parallel lac. That calculation looks like this. Not using the tank in use tag, not checking the flow meter or checking the vaporizer, not attaching the scavenger or keeping it nice and low, not leak testing the machine or the circuit, selecting the wrong circuit for the patient, incorrect assembly of the circuit, not reopening the APL valve after leak testing, incorrect fresh gas calculations or missing the units on those calculations. So hopefully you're feeling just a little bit better about that task already. If you think there's someone else you know that might benefit from watching this, it'd be super if you could share that. Do all the things, like, comment, subscribe. It really does help grow this channel. Thank you so much for watching.